Hey guys, what is a balloon in real estate? I hear this all the time. People DM me, they hear it on our podcast, they hear other people talk about it. A balloon is not the clown balloon, but I do believe balloons are for clowns, and I'll get into that right now. A balloon is a time restriction on a loan. Okay, so for example, let's say that I have a seller that lives in 123 Main Street, and I, Pace, call this seller and I say, hey seller, I want to buy your house on seller finance. The seller says, oh my gosh, yes, I would sell my house on seller finance. Happens all the time. Go on the rest of the channel. You can see all of the addresses and the properties and the things and the deals that we've done. Seller says, yes, but I do want my money at some point and I'm not willing to be the bank for you for 30 years. I say, oh my gosh, great, okay, great. Let's do a 30-year payment schedule, which means it lowers my payment amount. What amount of time would you let me have the loan? Which means seller says yes. They say 30 years, I'll let you make your payments based on 30 years. But the seller doesn't want to wait 30 years for the big chunk of money that is going to be given to them. So let's say the house sells for $300,000, okay? And I'm giving the seller $1,000 every single month, okay? 30 years, right? Or actually, what is that? 300,000, that's 300 months. $360,000 is what I buy it for, okay? And I'm gonna divide that by 12 months, right? So that's 30 years. So the seller says, all right, I'm gonna let you make payments to me for a 30-year payment schedule. And if I divide that in, that comes out to be $1,000 per month for 30 years. That ends up being $360,000. Obviously, there's no interest here. We're trying to keep it really simple for people that have just learned what a balloon is. The seller says, but I don't want to wait 30 years of you making $1,000 payments to me. I understand we made the payment based on that, but here's what I want. I want you to start today, and we'll create a 30-year payment schedule, but I want you to have a balloon at the 10-year mark. Okay, so what does that mean? It means pop. There goes the end of the balloon. The balloon is done. It's gonna pop. I have 10 years. Okay, cool. So that means I'm gonna make 10 years of payments. How many payments is that? That's 120 payments. So I've paid the seller $120,000, right? $1,000 monthly payment times 10 years, 12 months. That works out to $120,000. So how much money do I still owe that seller? I still owe that seller $180,000, but he's gonna want all the remaining amount of that money at the end of the balloon, which is a 10-year balloon. Now, I can make that balloon for any amount of time I want. I've done deals where I have a 3-month balloon, I have a 3-year balloon, I've had 10-year balloons, 20-year balloons, I even have a 50-year balloon on our San Angelo property in San Angelo, Texas. So the balloon is there for the seller, so the seller can say, look, I'm willing to give you some time to kind of raise rents, improve the property, and ultimately make this property worth more than the $360,000 I sold it to you for, so that you can go out and get a refinance, or maybe even you can sell it. So here's what happens at the end of 10 years. This is a big question I get. Oh my gosh, Pace, what happens at the end of the 10 years? Oh my gosh, the world is gonna fall apart because now the seller wants you to pay the $180,000. Well, if I bought the house for $360,000, right? If I buy it for $360,000, in 10 years, what's that property probably going to be worth? I'm gonna just take a guess. It's probably gonna be worth $550,000 to $600,000. Okay, so I could do a variety of things. I could either do, right, we paid the $120,000 in payments for 10 years, which leaves me $180,000. I could either A, sell the property, all right? Not only would I get my $120,000 payments back on the purchase, right? I would get, let's say I sell it for $600,000, I'd get my $120 back, the seller would get their $180, and I would come out of that deal making $240,000 in appreciation. Okay, not bad. That's a possibility. B, refinance. So what most people do, I would say most of the time when you have a balloon, you're just gonna refinance and you're gonna get a new loan for, let's say, $400,000, because the property's worth $600. So you can do a no cash out of pocket refinance, get all your payments back on the 120 and pay off the seller and have a new loan at $400,000. Now the challenge is, who knows what the interest rate's gonna be, right? So you have to make that determination at the end of 10 years. Do you know what the interest rates are gonna be? No, we don't know what the interest rates are gonna be in 6 months. We have no clue. And so there is a little bit of a gamble here going, well, when I refinance, I gotta know that my interest rate's gonna still allow me to cash flow. And if it doesn't cash flow, then just sell the property, take your profit. Now, the third thing that happens, and I do this often, is renegotiate. I will renegotiate with the seller and say, hey, this has gone really, really well. Why don't we actually just add a little bit more money on the monthly payment and let's restructure the whole thing so you make a little bit more money, but you're incentivized to stay in it with me so I can go and continue to build the property. So I've done that, never on a 10-year balloon. I've never done that on a 10-year balloon because you don't need that on a 10-year balloon, but I've done that on 1-year balloon, 2-year balloon, and 3-year balloons where the seller says, I want you to pay me off on year 1. I want you to pay me off on year 2. I want you to pay me off on year 3, but I haven't raised the rents and I haven't gotten the property worth what it should be worth in order for me to sell it or refinance. So I go back to the seller and I renegotiate. In fact, my mobile home park in Yuma, Arizona, he originally wanted a 1-year balloon. And at the end of the first year, I showed him all the work that I was doing on the mobile home park. And he was like, you know what? I don't need a balloon. And he got rid of the balloon. Okay, kind of cool. Now, something that I do inside of the Subto community is I have this thing called a balloon extension clause. Okay, this is kind of cool. This is something that I created, a balloon extension clause. Now, there's going to be some really smart people that go, okay, Pace, you bought the property for $360,000. You have 10 years to do either a refinance or sell the property. What happens if the whole entire market crashes in that time frame so that in 10 years from now, the property is only worth $200,000? It's a possibility. I mean, you look back at 2007, 2008, market crashed like 80% in some areas, even more in others, right? There is a possibility I could buy a piece of property today and it goes down to $200,000 tomorrow, and I hope that by the end of the 10 years is up, that the properties rebound and I'm back at 360 or more so I can refinance or sell the property and get out of that deal, still making some money. Well, what I do in all of our Subto agreements is we teach our students to add a balloon extension clause in their agreement. What we do is we tell the seller that if the property does not appraise for the $360,000 or more after 10 years, we extend another 10 years. Now, what's great about this is that sellers have never fought me on this because they go, of course they always think their property is worth more than it really is. So they go, of course I'll extend if it doesn't appraise. It's gonna appraise. This thing's gonna make you so much money. Because they've got to sell me on the idea that I got to buy the property at $360,000 on this seller finance transaction. And so in that process, they've convinced themselves that their house is never going to go down in value and that this Pace guy is going to get this amazing deal. So I lean into that and I go, okay, well, if you think that this is such an amazing deal, you probably won't mind us putting a balloon extension clause saying that if the property does not appraise in 10 years and the market has crashed and I'm dealing with interest rates issues, that I can have a balloon extension clause that will automatically extend 10 years if the property does not appraise for whatever my price is. Now, could I put in 360? Yeah, I could also put 361 and 1 penny. I could put 341 and 7 pennies. I could put in whatever number I want because this is my agreement with the seller and me direct, okay? Now, you know what I'll do? Here's what we'll do. This will be the fun, free thing that we give you guys. I will give you guys a snapshot of the balloon extension clause in our Subto contract. I'll show you guys what that looks like. Link down below. You guys can download it or see something. I'm not going to give you the Subto contracts ever, ever, ever. Jade, we never, ever give our Subto contracts, seller finance contracts, lease option, novation agreements. We don't ever give any of that stuff away on YouTube. That's reserved for our students. However, I will show you a balloon extension clause, and I will let you guys download that down in the description down below. So let us know whatever questions you have. I could talk about balloons literally hours on hours on hours. In fact, maybe what I should do is next time we get a deal that has a balloon on it, I'll do a whole breakdown and show you how I'm going to get out of that deal and what my plan is, but we'll wait until next video. On your way down there to get the screenshot of the balloon extension clause, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like us. And by the way, go to elephantchallenge.info. Make sure you join the monthly Elephant Challenge with us so you can get your first deal, and I'll see you in the next video.